Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Sweeter After Difficulty podcast. I am Randy Highsmith, and with me today are my regular guests, Jordan Lopez and Chris Anderson. How you guys doing?
Hey, Randy, doing well.
Randy, doing good.
Excellent. Well, it's good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. And we have an awesome quote to break down today, something that all three of us were excited to talk about. So, super stoked to jump into that. But before we do that, just wanted to remind you we do these every Friday at noon Pacific. They come out on Spotify and Rumble. So, please check it out. Go to the platforms, pick whatever one you like. Pretty soon we'll be on YouTube and a couple other ones as well. But for now, just Spotify and Rumble. Go in and search for Sweeter After Difficulty. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things. It helps our algorithms. Dislike, I found out, that's fine. It helps our algorithms too. But drop comments, come be part of the community. We love having you. And we're so grateful for every time we get an opportunity to see someone out in public who just says, "Hey, I loved what you guys were talking about on the podcast. It's super fun." And it's always a little bit sort of flattering and embarrassing and all these things, but just excited that you're listening. So if you've been here before, you know how we do this. We're going to start out with a quote. We're going to take it and break it down and deep dive into it. So to get us started, I'm going to kick it over to the quote master general himself, Jordan Lopez, to get us started with the quote of the day. What do you got for us?
All right. Quote today is by Epictetus. Man is not troubled by the events, but the meaning he gives them.
Yeah. Uh, Such an interesting concept. I'm super excited for all the different avenues this can go down already. Like my mind's been kind of spinning since we first mentioned it. Let's, for everybody that's following along, let's read that one more time and then we're going to jump right into this thing.
Sure. Man is not troubled by the events, but the meaning he gives them.
Yeah, so let's do this. First impressions. What are your immediate thoughts when you hear that? Is there anything that just like jumps right out to you?
I would agree. My thoughts like a sporting event, right? Everybody's both teams. Like right now, there's the big SEC game. Georgia's playing Alabama, and so you drive around here, and everybody has their Georgia stuff up. There's Alabama people too, and so like both people will be watching the game, and one team will win and one team will lose, and it's kind of like the two different perspectives of the game itself. And it's kind of like your perspective on how you kind of view it by how the outcome is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. That's an interesting thought. Chris, anything initially?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is that you know, you may think that you've tapped me in jujitsu, but my tapping is the real win because it means that I got out of whatever crap that you were trying to do to me.
Oh, so cute.
We just got out of Saturday class, so some of these things are still a little fresh.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. My elbows don't hurt because of jujitsu. Your elbows hurt because of jujitsu.
that's amazing. Well, okay, so a couple of words that jumped out to me. Obviously, event jumps out to me. Um, so let's talk a little bit about event first. Uh, it's not the event that we respond to, right? Do you think that that's universally true? Or can there be an event that isn't just about how you're interpreting it? Like it is what it is regardless of how you think about it.
I think that's like the whole point of the quote. Like truly, is that like what an event is or isn't somewhat irrelevant because it's just an input. Whether you decide that you're going to suffer because of that input is largely based on the story that you tell yourself about that event,
Hmm.
right? And I don't know that that's necessarily like universally true. Like there's tons of things that are objectively bad, right?
Right, because when my like instantly it's such a funny thing, but instantly my mind thought about like a person walking across the street and getting hit by a car. Right?
exactly. Like that's horrible.
Horrible. Uh
Yes,
and you don't necessarily have control over how your body perceives the event,
right,
right? Like
right,
it's pretty straightforward what happened. Um
right.
I guess then uh, so the interesting part about that then is Do you think that this quote is carrying more of a present or future tense emphasis? Because in the instance of getting hit by a car, right? Like you aren't going to attribute any feelings to the event until afterward, besides the
Yeah.
initial fear and pain, right?
It feels very like hindsight based,
Yeah.
like looking back on what it was, and in hindsight allows you to kind of like have a correct perspective of it.
So in my instance, that's kind of what I thought, but I certainly think there are things that we start to interpret as they're unfolding, right? And then we're following along and our brains, are doing what they do and filling in the gaps and sort of writing that narrative for the event that's
Yeah.
happening. So there's certainly, right, that's also another way of looking at that option.
Yeah.
Um so what do you think it is then, if we agree with this quote, what decides how we interpret it? Like what is there anything that immediately sticks out, to you as an event that's happened to you or around you that you sort of wrote a narrative on, and whether you discovered it to be, consistent, or whether you learned later on that it wasn't, that it was actually something else, or and you develop your perspective on it. But like what about that kind of thing?
I think it's, to me, it seems like one of those things where it's like how are you within the event, right? Are you a passenger in the event? Are you kind of like a Ready Player One kind of a thing? Like, are you sharing it with somebody else? Like, I think perspective on the event, usually within the event, is one thing, but on hindsight, usually a different kind of
Yeah.
perspective, right? So you can kind of be like, how you handle it is kind of how you perceive it in the moment, and then after the fact, you can kind of reevaluate and kind of reassess what that event was.
Yeah, which is fascinating. Because in some of the recent episodes we've been talking about the idea of like how you carry burdens, and
Mhm.
um and those kind of things. So maybe some of the problems that we have that are ongoing, unresolved issues, maybe it's that we never took the time to reevaluate the event with a fresh set of eyes or with a new set of perspectives, or like, does that track?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like that's it's one of life's most difficult challenges, but like how do you reappraise your own judgment? Right? Like taking the hit by a car thing, or actually, I had a bad injury gosh, about like 17 or 18 years ago. I had an open dislocation of my ankle, and for like the first maybe 10 years after that injury, I appraised that injury at, well, this is just catastrophic, and I'm never
Mhm.
going to do any physical fitness again, and but I have to adjust my entire lifestyle. Um, and upon reappraisal, like it also forced me to have a higher focus on my health and continually seek out new experiences because I had somehow convinced myself that going on long distance runs was never going to be a thing for me anymore, or playing basketball wasn't going to be and that was like what I love. That was my true love as a hobby. So, but without that injury, I would have never found jujitsu and all of the friends that I have with it. And, so I think it's an encouraging direction, right? Like
Mhm.
events are going to happen and there's nothing you can do about it. So what are you doing to constantly assess your own judgment?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Well,
What
yeah, it's
do you
also the oh,
Go ahead, Jordan. No,
I
go
think it's
ahead.
also the realization too, like that time will pass, right? And the difficulty today will be a bit less tomorrow, and a bit less 6 months from now, and a bit less a year from now, right? It's just,
Well,
it's so,
maybe,
yeah, maybe,
maybe,
but
right?
it's
But
so
you
hard.
could you could set yourself up to be in an echo chamber that feeds you negativity about the thing
Yeah,
too, and like never escape
Yeah.
that negativity
yeah.
loop, right?
Yeah, I think it's so easy though to get stuck in that echo chamber and to get stuck in the moment, right? Because it's like
Hmm.
living in the moment versus living with a future perspective versus living in the past, right? Like, and I think human beings kind of bounce around from spot to spot so frequently, right? It's people, you see lots of dudes who live in the past, live in their high school glory days, right? Or you or you have these people who live in the future. Oh, when I get out of college, I'm going to do this, or when I get this,
Mm,
achieve this level of work, then I'll have this, right? It's just
right.
like,
Right.
but you get stuck in the moment. And it's like, oh, this event is crippling me, and I can't get past it. Not realizing 6 months from now or a year from now, it'll hopefully be a life altering event, but it won't be how it defines you, right? I don't ever want to be defined by specific events. I want like to make it different.
Okay, so let's challenge ourselves a little bit here. Let's go to the flip side. Some event takes place that's not a bad thing,
Mhm.
but it's luck or coincidence, or like the outcomes weren't justified by the input, right? Like something happened where you hit the lotto in some way or another, right? It's just as easy to form a false sense of self and a false sense of reality around something like that too, right? Like it doesn't have to have negative connotations.
Mhm.
Have you ever met anybody who just always has their head in the clouds,
Yeah, well,
like
it's like it's gambling addiction, right? Right? Or it's all that kind of stuff. It's like I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna win it. I'm like, I
yeah,
never,
Yeah.
I never thought I was that lucky. Like I've always been like, I'm not lucky enough to to have that be me.
You're
and that's interesting too, because so I am kind of lucky. On my 21st birthday, my mom took me to Reno. When the clock struck midnight, I was able to start playing. And like an hour and a half in, we were playing video poker and on quarters. And an hour and a half in, I hit a royal flush and it was like $1,300. Right. So
my gosh.
I was like, yeah, 21, like awesome.
This
Uh
happens to every 21-year-old
this
on their
happens
birthday.
to everybody, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
best that I ever did was we went up a different time and we were playing video poker on dollars, which is just like it. I wasn't playing with my
Swing.
money or I wouldn't have gone, right? Because it's
Yeah.
literally $5 a hand and it's video poker, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't understand the algorithms of video poker, how it's playing, watching what it's giving you, those kind of things. And so this is the craziest thing. I got dealt a 10 of diamonds, a jack of diamonds, a queen of diamonds, a king of diamonds, and an ace of hearts.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means it's already a straight. I'm going to get $25 for that hand. So I'm going to 5 times multiply my money if I accept that hand. But if I throw the ace away to try to get one card out of the rest of the deck to land,
One out.
one out, it's $4,000,
Yeah.
right? I threw the ace and I drew the other ace.
Huh.
$4,000. And I watched some dude comes out of a room and he starts counting $100 bills into my hand. I was never more nervous leaving a casino in my entire life. I just
Yeah.
had this fat wad of $100 bills in my pocket. So like the point of that though is that those two incidents gave me a weird sense of confidence, with the game. Like
Yeah.
I think I understand it well enough that I can at least occasionally win. I can figure out if a machine's playing with me or just taking my money. Like whatever. But the reality is over a long enough time span, right? You bet on the house and eventually the house wins, right? They they take it
Yeah.
all. So it's a completely flawed way to look at it to say, oh, this is how the game is played. If everybody played it the same way I do and they played this game and they did that, statistically they're going to win at some point because I've won 2 big jackpots at one point in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
But that's not even close to accurate, right?
No.
Like
It's funny that
casinos-
it's funny that's the example that you bring up. So I've played a good bit of poker in my life. I have read an embarrassing amount of books on poker and on probability thinking and theory, and I play sports betting and I play daily fantasy football, all those things. And what you're describing, like when you had one out, that was a 2% chance. You needed one card of the remaining 44 that were in the deck. That's
It's so
2%
crazy.
chance that you would have gotten that
It's
one.
so crazy, bro. 2%.
So
So crazy.
what all good poker players tell you is you need to have two things really, really well in order to win. You have to understand the spectrum of probabilities for the hand that you need in order to win, and you have to calculate what risk or return you're willing to accept in order to realize that return. So if you had a 2% chance, you're only going to hit that 1 or 2 times every time you hit that button. Now,
Yeah.
does it, what's the probability it's going to be the next one, or the one after that, or the one after that, right? And each time you press the button, the probability resets. It doesn't stay the
Yep.
same, right?
Yep.
So, I think it's a wonderful way of looking at the quote, because I've spent a good amount of money risking, you know, the trying to get that probability. And like, I'm happy to say I've been decently successful, right? Like, I've been able to fly my family out of the country on money that I've won from daily sports or from poker. I've had, I've been really lucky. But the thing that really flipped it for me, I spent maybe like 5 or 6 years playing these games and thinking like, I just need to make my hand. I just need to make this hand. If only the probability wheel lands on my luck that day for that hand, I'm gonna be set. And like, that is just such a losing mindset in these games.
Yeah.
Instead, what you got to say is, I need to set myself up to such that I'm never exposed. But when regression does happen, when that 2% lands, I'm good, and then I'm no longer exposed from those winnings. Like, I'll just
Mhm.
claw them back, and I don't change.
Yeah. And my brain is probably like everybody else's, right? Where it starts to fight with you a little bit. Like I had this, I think I've mentioned the movie Maverick on the podcast at least once before, but spoiler alert, because the movie came out like 40 years ago. Like if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. This is how the movie ends, right? But he believes that he can pull a card by just hovering his hand over the deck and thinking about it hard, wanting it hard enough, right? And so at the very end, he flips over the card and he looks at it and he kind of goes, "Ah," and everybody thinks he lost, and then he like flips the card out and it's the right one. So movie magic, right? And I'm sitting there going, and I was really having like, I was having this philosophical debate in my mind. Like, I've got money right here. I can take it, right? Like I can take that. That's 5 more hands I get to play on the house, like whatever. And this is where it gets a little scary because so I was there with my mom and I looked over at her and I go, just out of curiosity, what would you do? Right? And she goes, "What are you here for?" And I was like, that's the worst. Like that was the worst thing to say to me, right? Because I was like, well, I'm not here to win a straight. Like I'm here to hit the biggest hand you can hit, right? I'm here to walk away with the big money. And I threw the card and
See,
drew the card. And
that's so
like
cool.
Yeah.
this is the weirdest, like, but it messes with your head, right? Because you think that at any point in time that is available, that's possible, right? But it's statistically it's not.
Mhm.
Right. There's a 98% chance that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's psychotic to throw the card, right? Like it really on some levels it's like a problem, right?
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
like a gear, like what is that old quote, right? Like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, like that quote really means, you've got food in your hand, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to don't let
Right.
that one go to try to catch maybe two. Like take the food you got. And I definitely didn't, and it worked out, but it gives you that weird sense of the thing.
I think though too, it kind of reminds me of like, so I've played sports my whole life, right? I remember playing as a little kid, like there was the kids who were naturally good at the sport, right? Like and they were told from a very young age, right? They're God's gift to baseball, or they're God's gift to, and it happens in everything, right? And in cycling,
Mhm.
remember there was these guys who would show up and they were amazing on their bike, and they had no idea what they were doing. They had no idea what their tire pressure was, what their suspension was. They jumped on, they rode, and they were faster than everybody else. And it's like even in jujitsu, you have that, right? You have these people who are naturally good at jujitsu, and they don't last very long, or they don't
Hate
make
those
the
people.
elite levels because they're
It's bastards.
yeah. But I mean, like I don't ever want to be somebody who's like naturally gifted enough at something that I don't feel like I have to work for it, right? And I just feel like everything I've done in the sports that I've done, right, or even in my job, it's like I have to work really hard to be good at this. And I think that's why it makes people successful, because they feel like they're not just gifted naturally at it, like as they go through life, right? I don't want to be think ever, even my kids, like I don't ever want them to think that they're lucky or that they're naturally gifted something,
Right.
like and work's not necessary.
Well, it's funny because it's like the way that both of you are framing the stories, I see like what goes off in my mind is like those are both connected to like a healthy appraisal or judgment of a set of events. Because like Randy, your mom asks you like, well, what are you here for? And if you were like, I'm just here to like win a little bit of money and like walk home with some extra dollars in my pocket, cool. Then you're done. Like cash that out, man. You mission accomplished. But it's like, no, I'm here for like the thrill of maybe. That's what I'm here for. All right, cool, man. Hit the button. Let's see it. And like Jordan, the same kind of thing. It's like, are you here to just be lucky and be good at a sport without any effort? Or are you here because the effort is what's addicting and the result is secondary? It's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, that's what I'm after. And it's like that's such a healthier appraisal of a series of events than just sitting back and going like, ah, well, I keep winning and I don't really know why. But you
Well,
know,
yeah, and then
I'm
you
so
have people like we all laugh about, like, oh, you're just naturally athletic. Like comments like it's a funny, stupid throwaway comment, but it's also one of those comments like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like
yeah.
it's just an easy out, right? Well, I'd be better if I was more naturally athletic like
But
you.
like flip that quote on its head. The people who
Yeah,
are saying that are tricking themselves into thinking that me losing to you is not the result of you being better than me. It's you being bigger
yeah,
than me and stronger than me. And
yeah,
like that is the hallmark example of what that quote says. They are
yes.
attaching meaning to a series of events and then living by the implication of that meaning.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's the essence of the quote, right? And it that's why I'm so fascinated by the topic,
Yeah.
um, because that story that we tell ourselves, that narrative that we write, if you turn that into a brick and like cement it into your foundation, everything you build off of that is built off of that idea, right? It's resting on that idea. Um, it affects how you see everything. And if I'm convinced that jujitsu is full of naturally athletic people, and then I'm using that as justification for why I always lose, there's no pressure or like even incentive on me to ever improve myself or work harder, right? Because I'm never going to catch that top ring.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be on that. And when we talk about it and we say, there's levels to it, like everything in life, there's levels. Yeah, the best I'm ever going to do at jujitsu is still going to pale in comparison to some of the people that are in our own gym, let alone guys out there who are doing it, competitively for a living.
Yeah.
Um,
But I would
that's
push
not
back on
but
that
that's
though,
not a
Randy.
reason to not
Yeah.
do it, right? It's not a reason for me because that's not my reason for doing it is
Yeah.
to be better than those. It's to be the best version of myself.
Yeah. But I would push back a little bit on that though. I remember like when I was a white belt, I remember I rolled with Julio the first time. He was a brown belt. He just got his brown belt and I was a white belt. And I remember going home and just thinking like, this guy's a different breed of cat than I am. Like there's something different about him. I will never be like that because he was mopped the floor with me so badly. And it's funny, like as time goes on, it's just like, well, he's not some physical specimen like a Gordon Ryan, right? Or like a Val, or these guys who are insane athletes. Like
He's no
he just has
Schwarzenegger.
more skills than you. And it's just like skill acquisition is what the sport really boils down to, right? And like you start having situations where you're like, if I can just get more skill, I can put it on people more than somebody who's not. And so it's like, I
It's
hate to
so
set
funny.
like a glass ceiling on really anything in life. Like, oh well, I'll never achieve that. But it's like, but I don't know. Like it's a
But like how long did it take you to arrive with that level of insight about
Chris,
yourself? Like
that's just something naturally athletic people say, bro. It's not
that's true.
guilty.
If I was as tall, dark, and handsome as Jordan was, then I wouldn't even have to worry about it.
well, and but that also, Jordan, to push back a little bit on you, is you also are someone who your stride is longer than mine, right? So
Yeah.
when you take a step, it's a step and a half or two steps to my like I'm
Yeah.
taking two for every one to get the same amount
Yeah.
of distance. And you also your best version of yourself puts more pressure on you than my best version of myself puts
Yeah.
on me. Right. So like, yeah, I can look at Julio and go, well, you know, you're at least 7 years in front of me or
Yeah.
10 years in front of me, you know. I can jump a couple of levels here and there, but if you keep training, like the likelihood is we're probably going to
Yeah.
still match pace, right? I'm just going to always be that much behind you. And whereas you go, no, I'm going to try to like, remember like on the monkey bars when you like learned how to skip 2 instead of just 1? Like
Yeah.
that's what it kind of reminds me of, like when you do jujitsu,
Yeah.
because you're really not just satisfied with,
Yeah.
okay, I'm as good leaving today as I was when I came in, right?
Yeah.
The survival part of it went away for you, and now you're just like, okay, I'm on the hunt, and if I don't walk away with meat in my teeth, like, what did I do here today?
Yeah.
Right?
I think though,
That
but people,
it's not the same
yeah.
for me.
Yeah. But I think though people they put a glass ceiling on themselves so way lower than it should be. Right.
Yeah.
I was rolling with a guy. Well, I was helping out in a class last night, and the guy who teaches it his name is or his nickname is Big Kenny, and he's 320-ish pounds. He's
Yeah.
very big. I'm
Yeah.
215 pounds. He's 50% heavier than me. And he did an arm bar demonstration. You put your hands on their sternum and kind of spin, and my back popped like up and down as when he did when he did it on me. And it was like, huh? And it was terrible. I mean, it was. I laughed about it. I'm just like,
It's
and he's like, "Oh, thanks
terrifying.
for letting me do that." When I was talking about this morning in my class, and one of the guys in there, he's a blue belt, and he's like 150 pounds, and he's like, "Oh, welcome to my life." I'm like, "Bro, he's 50% heavier than me." I'm like, "I'm not 50% heavier than you." Like, don't limit yourself in these people. I'm like, "Yes, if you roll with Kenny, he's twice your size or 3 times, double your size. Yeah, it's different." I'm like, but don't like this. Every game is different, and this I don't know. It bothers me when people start limiting themselves. Like, oh well, I'm small, so I'll never get this. It's like little people have gnarly jujitsu too. Like, look at all the top people are little guys, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
I think
I
there's so do you think then that there's a line between limiting yourself and just having a healthy view of the
yeah
reality of your situation,
yeah
right? Like if you're not being pessimistic or beating up, like I'm not beating up on myself. I think actually, um, in terms of how lives can turn out, like my life is a miracle.
yeah
Like
yeah
I was limping around and like thought my a hospital bed was in my future, right? And
yeah
now, you know, showing up with a lighter gi can cause some people to like
yeah
get a little more scared,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Uh,
it's like the
but
unending yeah, like unlimited potential, right? It's a fantasy, right? But I think was that
yeah,
like the Navy SEALs thing? Like so many people quit at 60%, like
Yeah.
because it's
But
easy.
it's true
yeah,
though. I mean, like I remember, I'm not trying to pull it specifically into jujitsu like technique or whatever, but I remember when I started, and Jordan, I rolled with you my very first day ever doing this, and I had the exact same feeling driving home, and I'm like, I don't think I can ever achieve what just happened to me. Like I was
Yeah,
beaten so soundly, like it was ego death in the best
yeah,
possible way. And then I had a series of drills with a 3-week-old white belt not too long ago, and I just did whatever I wanted.
yeah,
We were roughly the same size, just did whatever I wanted, and I wasn't even thinking, I wasn't trying, and that has absolutely nothing to do with talent in the sport. And I remember after I had swept him one time, he gets up and he goes, "I just grabbed you for like a split second, and then I was on my back."
yeah,
And like he was walking away, so he was talking to himself, and I like that stuck with me because it has absolutely nothing to do with the me being good at a sport. It's just I've got a 5.5 year head start.
yeah.
Like if the tables were turned and that dude was there for 5.5 years and that was my first day, I guarantee you it would be the same experience, but in the inverse. And so it's like it was a
it's a
wonderful like realization, you know?
it's an appropriate analogy though, right? Because going to a jujitsu class is an event, right? Like it is
Exactly.
it's a physical and mental and emotional event on your body. Like there are so many levels that you feel everything.
Well, yeah,
But how you interpret that and how you walk away and your mindset determines whether you're coming back. It determines whether you're going to get your blue belt eventually or whether you're eventually going to get your black belt. Like it determines all those things. And especially when you get to some of those more like the doldrums in the middle of a belt where you're like, I got so far before I'm moving on to the next belt and I feel like I'm not
Yeah,
advancing at all, like
yeah.
I literally am just grinding against this every day. Um, the mindset, I think it's almost like easier at the beginning as a white belt to go, okay, like I see these guys speaking the different language and I don't know what it means, but eventually I'll be able to learn it, versus spending 6 years doing it and then feeling like, okay, now I'm not learning anything. Like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
was
Well,
this
yeah.
last 6 years about, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing is too, is like it's one thing when you realize you don't know anything, but it's another thing when you're like, I'm at this level, and then somebody beats the brakes off you, and you're like, I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm doing right now.
Yep.
Like I remember
Yep.
Jimmy doing that to him. I remember when I was there, Jimmy did that to a blue belt who was a good blue belt. And he just tapped him like 6 times in 5 minutes or 7 times in 5 minutes. And the guy just kind of stood and just went like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. And it's like, and the last thing you want to do is get like,
It's so funny. There was this buddy of mine that visited last week, and that was the exact experience that I had after getting
yeah,
off the mat. I was like, we are
Chris,
not
come
the
on.
same.
But it's just levels though, right? And it's like, and heaven forbid you get to a certain level and get smashed by somebody who you think you're decently close to at, right? And then you get your whole world shaken up by it, right? And it still happens to me now. Like I'll roll with black belts who are at our school. It's like, well, we're both black belts, but I'm not the same as you. Like, and it's just a
Yeah.
skill thing. Like, and I don't, and I hate seeing these people get pushed through and get the next level because it's just time on the map. It's like the skill acquisition is so important. And I know we all talk about that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
how is that
And I
person
think like
around though? Yeah.
there's other like, and it's not, I know we're not like, only in the jujitsu domain, but like as a work example, I had a project a few years ago that I was like deeply, deeply passionate about at work. And it was mine, and we created a pilot. And after 6 months of, blood, sweat, and tears put into this project at work, it got canceled. And I just remember the day that, my VP called me and was like, yeah, we can't do this anymore. And then my like heart sank because I was like, I had staked so much of my reputation and my
Yeah.
career, and for that to like feel like a rug pull at the end, I'm like, God, what a waste of time. And went outside, went for a little walk with the dog, got a cup of coffee, and I was like, on the other hand, I'm the only person at this company who has a 6 month head start on the type of thing that we are actively trying. So like, okay, maybe this failed, but now I'm the only one here who has 6 months of knowledge. Like, what if I did it like a little bit differently? And like
Yeah.
that afternoon started building out the proposal for a different project using everything that I had already learned. I had better budget forecasts. I had a better team structure. I had all of these things that I got to throw in because I didn't let that first 10 minutes of like, God, what a waste of time. I didn't let that win. And it wasn't like super active, but like, I think in that sense, I got lucky that the switch flipped a little bit, but it's the same concept, right?
Yeah, and like in those kind of situations, that's so relatable. I think my tendency is to play a little bit of process of elimination, and so I tend to take a bigger chunk out than maybe is necessary, and then like sort through it and go, okay, what belongs back in, versus like something's not working. I don't go, let's remove one little thing at a time. I'm like, let's remove it all and then
Yeah.
slowly reintroduce things, right?
Strip
Which
it down
is
to the studs and then add things
just
back
down
one
to
at a time.
literally like burn it to the foundation, right? And then find out what really belongs here. And I think that what's interesting is so like I left my last job um because I was just burnt out by, the pace and what it became. And I went into a completely different field and I thought that's probably the last time I'm going to do that kind of work, on that scale. And then I started this podcast, and like as a result of that, now I've got a business partner and we're starting a business producing podcast, right? Like um I'm going to end up doing almost the exact same job I was doing before, but for myself instead of for someone else. And I found out that that was the problem, right? Like I'm not someone who's meant to work for other people. And it like whatever that sounds like, everybody goes, yeah, of course, like me too, right? I'm not meant, but I agree with you. Right? Like the structure isn't set up for you to be your most creative, your biggest and best self. The structure is created for you to make someone else look good enough that they want you to
Exactly.
take their place when they move up their next step. And you're always waiting for the next CEO to die so that there's a slow movement up the ladder
Yeah.
and hope that some hotshot doesn't come through and just swoop in and take that job right out from under you. If you're working for yourself though, it all like the success and the failure is all on you, and then you get to interpret that the way that you're going to, right? That event, in life, you get to decide how you feel about it.
It's so funny. Right as you're telling this story and about like the rainbow that you found or the treasure that you found at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, the name that popped into my head was Viktor Frankl. Like
Yeah.
no one like Viktor Frankl isn't sitting there like no one's gonna say that him being in Auschwitz wasn't catastrophic. And I think that that's like the subtle nuance here. But like he also didn't just sit there and say like this is pure catastrophe. He tried to find something from it. Like I will bear
Yeah.
witness. I will deliver purpose from this
Mhm.
event. I won't let it
Yeah.
break me. And like that's a sense of will that I don't know any of us will ever
Yeah.
reach. But out of that becomes the Viktor Frankl that we know from psychology and his book Man's Search for Meaning, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Um,
Great read.
it's just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, if under those circumstances, if I had let my bad situation crush my spirit and let me lose joy you know, for fostering authentic conversation and for, opening discussion
Yeah.
and presenting content that I hope people find meaning in, like the way that we find it,
Mhm.
having the conversations. Um, that could have gone away. It could have gone away if I would have thrown the baby out with the bathwater. So I think that that was a long way of coming back around to, kind of what you were talking about, right? Where it was, how do we start evaluating ourselves honestly, or auditing those things,
Yeah.
more regularly, um, our interpretation of events and things like that. And I think, thank God I was willing to at least entertain the idea long
Mhm.
enough to go, like I'm really passionate about this. And I could have just lost this because of a bad experience I had. And it's not because of any one person. It's just because of the model, right?
Yeah.
Like how it's set up. That's not for me. If I
Mhm.
wouldn't have gone through it though, I wouldn't know that that was the element that was really driving me crazy, right?
Yeah.
So it's
I
worth
think
it's worth
yeah.
going through events, right? Like the even the name of the podcast, is sweeter after difficulty. It's worth going through things so that you can be a better version of yourself on the other side. That's the essence of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just
And
a
I think like
perspective
the
thing, right? Yeah. Uh, like
Yeah.
learning
And the
learning from the
gathering of it.
situation. Yeah. Learning from the situation and being like, okay, like regardless of how this ends up, I can learn from this. Even if I'm an active participant or if I'm a passenger or whatever, like there's always something to be gleaned from the
Mhm.
situation after the fact.
it's it's funny because it like I think it also highlights the major pitfall that I've heard people come up with as objections to this. Like, oh well, obviously all events are either good or bad, and it's like if for instance you have somebody that's going to sit there and say that like roses are always red and I'm always going to be happy and I just have to find the bright side, and it's like I feel like that's the type of like wrong-headedness that people are objecting to. It's like
Yeah.
this quote isn't saying, well, just assign a new meaning and then you're going to be okay. It's saying the event happened. What can I do to endure it or maximize it or relive it because it was so amazing? Like, it's not trying to just collapse everything into the sense of like, if I'm just happy, then it'll be fine. It's like, no, the event happened. Now, how do I think about it? What am I going
I
to do
think also,
about it?
yeah, I think also too, though, it's like it's so much of this could also be done like on a minute by minute basis, right? Like, and like taking accountability or not accountability, but like understanding an event or situation or a circumstance. And it's like You can be happy 1 minute, you can be completely depressed and overwhelmed the next minute, and slowly come out of it and try to find new perspective on it. And then the next day it happens all over again, right? It's just, there's certain things in life that you can't just get past really quickly. And it's like, no, you need to suffer in this for a while or be scoured by this for a while. And it's just learning that lesson of
Yeah.
day in and day out.
And God bless the people who are standing by with a camera ready to capture you trying something stupid, like,
Yeah.
all these videos on TikTok, that just like scroll through and it's like montages of people that were just completely caught off guard by the unintended consequences of what they had in mind. Just like instant karma type of thing.
Fuck around and find out.
And find out, like just so crazy, especially people like not anticipating how slippery a surface is or thinking or, like misjudging a distance like that they
Can
can jump
drive
on a
through
boat.
that puddle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Engine
And
seizes.
you're just watching, right? And you hope that they're going to interpret that event with some sort of learn from it type attitude, right? But the sheer amount of those types of videos does not necessarily whisper that that's what we're doing with all the all of those experiences, right? Which is, and I actually had a chance, like during Thanksgiving, my nephew came by. He was visiting from the Air Force Academy, and so he's like just starting with the academy and getting into all of it and like figuring it all out. And I got a chance to talk to him just for a second and relate to him that idea we were talking about how everyone tells you to collect experiences, but no one tells you to collect perspective. And
Love
so
that.
I got to talk to him about that a little bit, and just that was something that was
Cool.
added to me that came from this podcast, so, and then, like this morning, one of our guys, in the gym, Omar, is a great dude. Um, he's such a cool guy, and we have such great conversations. We don't fall on the same side of things religious, wise. We don't probably fall on the same side of things politically most of the time. But we both really value community and open dialogue and discourse, and it's always respectful. And and today when I asked him, like, hey man, where's a good hookah spot in Sacramento? And he goes, bro, there isn't one. I need to open one. And I was like, so we started talking about it, and it was like, the power of having that community place where he was talking about this really cool spot in Iraq. He went and visited Baghdad, and he was talking about this historical site that's been there forever. And historically, it's always been used for the same thing, right? Like they come smoke hookah and they drink tea or coffee.
This
And
spot's probably older than most countries.
dude, I mean, right? And then they're just talking about everything, right? They're just sitting around and everybody's just talking to each other about everything. That feels like it's such a missing component of what's going on in our world right now. That I would do this forever, just just to have it, just to have that ability to listen to opposing views or views that agree with you, and that, not only shake sometimes what you believe, but also sometimes solidifies what you believe. And, like, just the option to go, it's an amazing thing to me that I can spend 5 years rolling with someone at jujitsu and never have any idea what they believe politically or how they
Yeah.
were raised, believe, what their belief in God is, or, not ever have any of that. And it doesn't matter. You love that person, right?
1000%.
If it changes when you find those things out, I think you have a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that is a problem. Uh, Because you should be able to love someone through their ideas, even if you believe they're wrong, right? How
Yeah.
will you ever convince them that there's another way of thinking about it if you only attack? And so I loved that. Thank you, Omar, if you're listening to this, for your inspiration today. I really hope that you open a spot here. I would love to have
Heck
a
yeah,
cool
bro.
spot to go do that. Let us know how we can back you up. But I encourage everybody, find a place where you can have open dialogue, find a place where people challenge your ideas in a loving way. It changes you as a person.
It's so funny, man. Like I definitely feel similarly about like jujitsu is the only place that I've ever seen where, you know, the sheriff and the, delinquent high school kid that he had to like drive back to his parents are on the same mat
Yeah.
having the time of their lives. And I've been trying to figure out how this dynamic works because like we also like have a little bit of that like cut from a different like philosophical cloth, political spectrums are a little bit different. And it's
Yeah.
like never once did I sit there and go like I won't be friends with these dudes because I have a different opinion about something. And it's
Yeah.
like if it were not for how addicting and enthralling and encompassing jujitsu is to cause enough of a distraction, it's enough of a wedge between the things that really don't matter for building relationships, what you believe in politically, what you want to achieve, what, your religion is. Like, in terms of relationships, those things don't matter as much as how much you care about the person. And it's like jujitsu is that sport that is so enthralling that it makes you forget about all the shit that doesn't matter in a relationship and only
Yeah.
the things that do. Because you get into a grappling match with somebody who's that much better than you, and you're sitting there having an existential crisis, and you're thinking, I'm a failure. I'm going to get my ass kicked. I can't defend myself. I can't defend my family. And they pat you on the back and they say, here's what you can do to get better. I can't wait to see when that happens. I will be so happy for you when you achieve that little bit of better. Let me know how I can help. You want to drill it? You want it like it's just an instant investment in the success of another person in the most selfless way possible. And I think
I was
to me,
gonna,
like,
I was gonna say, bro, like I think that thing, that last thing you just said, is the real key of it, right? Like I always thought like talking about energy was like a new agey thing. It was like,
hmm
and especially being raised in a like a fundamentally Christian household. It was like stay away from that and all that stuff. Um, but there's also scripture in the Bible that talks about, like where two or more are gathered with, in God's name, and that with the same purpose, right? They're there,
hmm
they're both there for the same reason. I firmly believe now that the sharing of energy is part of what makes jujitsu so special. And if you can take your energy and you can hold it up next to someone who has a more robust sense of energy in that space, and all of a sudden they're in the same spot, right? Like you can't help but get better and expand yourself, expand your consciousness,
Yeah.
expand
dude,
your knowledge,
Well,
yes,
tighten up your
I
relationships with people, right?
yeah, I think though I think what makes jujitsu so interesting is like you have to have somebody investing in you for you to improve, right? And you start realizing that more and more. You're like, if without this person investing in me, I'm not going to improve. And you look at somebody else and go, I need to invest in them so that they improve. And then they start having like this trickle down effect of people helping other people. And like I've been training for almost nine years in May. Dude, I remember being a white belt, like very succinctly, like or very clearly being a white belt and seeing white belts now or seeing blue belts now and being like, I can help you the way I was helped by several people, and I can help you get past this. And it's just like this, you have to have that right personality of or right desire personality to want to help people, and people have to want to be helped, right? If they don't want to be helped, then you're never going to be successful in the sport. And those people shed off really quickly, right? Where you're like, hey, let me help you. And they're like, nah, I can figure it out. You're like, all right, well,
it's it's so funny because I was just gonna go exactly where you went. Like the people who deny help because their ego is so large that they're gonna do it on their own, they don't last, at least in this
yeah.
hobby, right? But it's like the people who sit there and go like, "Yeah, please help me." Now all of a
Yeah.
sudden there's a bond and
Well, it's
there's
patience
an
too.
investment,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
but like I had a blue belt and a purple belt invest into me, and I felt like I had to keep showing up because I couldn't let them down. Like they were trying to make me better, and I was like, I'm not going to quit on them. Had nothing to do with whether or not I'm getting better, but like they'd sit there and be disappointed and sad if I didn't show up and bust my ass. So that's why I was there. It's like that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a crazy thing because I think about even people that don't necessarily have the mindset of like I have a handful of people in the gym that duck me actively. You know, like you can just see it. Like sometimes it's out loud, like you say, "Hey, you want to get a roll?" And they're like, "No," you know, and they're not like
Don't
upper
yell like
belts.
that,
Like
Randy.
it's like lower belts that I'm trying to pour into, right? And then when I hear that, I think if that was my attitude when Jimmy offered to help me, I
You're done.
where would
You're
my journey
cut
be at this
off.
point in time, right? It was,
Yep.
yeah, like instantly, I am not interested in investing in you anymore, because your only desire is to be able to beat me, and you're not going to be able to because we're not on the same level. Like it even if you're just looking at this in a practical way, you've been here for 2 weeks and I've been here for 7 years. You know, like if I'm not actively and handily handing you your ass every round, then I've been wasting my 7 years, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if you don't think I have anything to offer you because you can't beat me, you've already got the wrong mindset, right? You're not available to receive that energy. You're not available to
Yeah.
receive that growth.
Well, yeah, I remember having
Then
having that experience with
you
somebody.
would just
Yeah.
interpret it because you interpreted that event that way, right? Like you interpreted that loss from me as this was embarrassing or humiliating. I don't want to feel that way again. I don't want
Yeah.
to experience
Right.
that way again.
That's exactly
Um,
right.
Well,
why?
I got so you
Like
said that
why? We're all doing that. We're all
yeah.
here.
I got a perfect quote for that.
What's that?
It's embarrassment is
Okay,
an
go for it.
underexplored emotion.
Double dip today.
Yeah.
All right, say it again. Sorry.
Yeah.
So embarrassment is an underexplored emotion.
It
Yeah.
so is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You know what I
love that
think
quote.
too? That probably could be its own episode,
We
honestly.
need to save that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cut this out.
But yes, I agree wholeheartedly. I think we don't get embarrassed enough. We don't get
Yes.
humiliated enough. And you just have to experience as much as you can so that you can
Yeah.
know where those strengths and weaknesses are, right? Like,
In everything.
I gotta say, like, this is so timely. Last night I got home really late from a business trip, and my 8-year-old son, who's on the smaller side for his age, is fighting with my 10-year-old daughter, who's 100th percentile height and weight, like grows really fast, and they're fighting over who gets to use the bathroom to get ready to go to bed. And my son wants his privacy to go to the bathroom, and my daughter says, "Just let me in so I can get my toothbrush." And they get into they're screaming from the upstairs, and my wife and I are trying to like pour into my son to give him the energy and like the desire to stick up for himself. And like, don't let her be the older sibling who's bigger than you and bosses you around. Like, you say no, stand your ground. So anyway, he starts losing his mind. She's just antagonizing him, and he finally just starts bawling and comes downstairs, and he's gonna come tattle. And my wife and I look at each other and we're like, "You're in the right. Keep going." And then sister comes down, and she's just like, "I just want to have my toothbrush." And we both looking at my son like, "Tell her. Like, you don't need us, man. You got this. Like, keep going." And he's just like in tears, and he all of a sudden like starts trying to hide his face and turn away, and he doesn't want to do it. And he just goes, "I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that I'm crying about this." And I can't stop. And we both like kind of pulled him in and gave him a big hug. And we were like, "Dude, you need to be okay with being embarrassed because that's going to happen to you your entire life. And we want you to get good now at knowing what it means to be embarrassed and having the idea of what you can do next. So it's okay to be embarrassed. It's okay to
man,
cry. It's okay to do all that stuff, but stand
because
your
someday,
ground.
bro,
You're
it's
right.
going to be your wife wanting the toothbrush while you're going to the bathroom. And that is super embarrassing. You got to learn how to stand up for yourself now, dude, because
You do.
it gets worse.
Right.
Yeah.
She's
Exactly.
going to want to talk to you. She's going to make eye contact. You're like, I
Right.
need to go to the bathroom. Get out of here.
Right.
Bathroom time is private time.
Yeah.
Well, that has been a glimpse into Randy's life, everyone. Thank you. You're welcome.
Trailer living.
Come for the
Trailer
quote, stay
life.
for the homestead
There's
living.
no such thing as private bathroom time in a 17-foot travel trailer. I can tell you this. You just have to be really comfortable with each other. Yeah,
And each
thank
other's
God.
diets.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, hey, anything we have not covered? Did we leave anything on the table? I don't. This was such a cool conversation, but I don't want to. I don't want to miss anything. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I just think for me, like this whole quote is a lot more nuanced than it is absolute, and I get bummed when I think people take it in absolute terms and they say, "Ah, well, this is just a different way of saying like you always got to think positive." It's like that's not what it's saying. It's recognizing the event for what it is and then being active in deciding what you want to do about it.
Life is what you make it, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
It's
I
an
mean,
active
that's
decision,
really
right?
that's it.
like
Yeah. It's like actively deciding all the time. It's not just a one-time
like
thing. It's an all the time thing.
like all of life, right? Like all of life, everything in life. It's you're actively making those decisions whether you think you are or not. And if you've gotten into autopilot of just actively making, negative decisions, it's time to scoop out and evaluate a little bit. Like look at what's going on here. What are you still allowing in? What have you thought of the event that gave you this mindset, whether positive or negative, so long ago? Have you thought how it still applies to you today? Does it have room in your life? Like does it have a place? Let us know in the comments if you've got situations like that. We're so fascinated. I'm always just curious, why I choose to hold on to baggage for one thing and can easily drop it for another thing. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm always on this curiosity journey. But if you'd be willing to share, I'd love to read about your experiences in the comments. Oh man, these conversations are so fun. So fun.
But yeah, man.
Anything else, Jordan? You have one last thing?
Yeah, so like if you want to talk about like that kind of thing just for a moment, like I know. So for me recently, I've had a experience where I've have got like with making the unconscious conscious, right? And so somebody told me they're like, you go along to get along a lot in life. Like you don't put up a fight, you don't push back, you kind of just put your head down and you're like, okay, sorry about that. And like it's really interesting, and I've kind of been thinking a lot about it recently. It kind of like it really kind of stems from being a kid, being the oldest born, like the oldest of the kids in my family, and kind of like my dad would kind of come down on me, and then like I just kind of put my head down and go, okay, sorry about that, and kind of not ever push back. And kind of going through life recently, I kind of realizing more and more, like I did that at my job, I did that in my life with my family, I did that with friendships and stuff like that. And it's like with the events that have been kind of transparent in my life since then, like I really have been conscious about not allowing that to happen and kind of giving pushback to people because of it. Like not just being a good boy, but being like somebody who's like, no, you don't talk to me that
So
way. Or you don't.
important.
And it's important. It's like, and I'm 41, 42, going to be 42 years old. Like, and
Feels uncomfortable.
these events happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable, but it's like, it's this realization of it. Like I have to take responsibility for this and accountability for this and not be this person anymore. And it's hard to hear, but it's also like that health and that change has to be made. Exact.
It's such important work, and I think in your particular situation too, you're at one of those crossroad places where you've been spurred to do that evaluative process that we're
Yeah.
talking about, and I would just encourage you, during that time, take advantage of laying all those painful things out as much as you can and
Yeah.
just like really sort through all that stuff because you're gonna as you weed things out and as you incorporate new things in, you'll find yourself changing, right? And
Mhm.
then you can get swept up in the excitement of change and not do the work and focus, So like I think I think it's such a timely message for where you're at in life too, just be encouraged. There's there's great things on the other side of those painful changes and that hard
Yeah.
evaluation.
Yeah. It's painful not just
It
for
is
me, but
sweeter
for
after the
the people
difficulty.
yeah, but people you deal with, right? Like with the people who've treated you that way for a long time and being like, this is
Yeah.
not what we're going to do anymore. And it's just like, it's
Yeah.
a change for lots of people.
Well, I mean, teaching people how to treat you differently after they've had treated you a certain way your whole life and you've acted a certain way your whole life, it can be a relationship shaping
Yeah.
conversation, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I wrote a song lyric one time, you know, and it said, I must have lost around 1,000 pounds in the course of all my years, you know, and that was directly alluding to the people who were like, peace, I'm not down with the new you, I'm out, you know, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, I'm all in on the new me. So, you know, like if you're not, then that's okay. That's okay. I forgive you. I love you. I'll miss you. But I'm moving forward with myself and I'm going to try to
Yeah.
get better, you know, regardless of how you feel about it. Um, that's hard. It's hard. It's hard to take that stance. It's hard to make that your, you know, keep your eyes on the horizon with that, but do the work and you will be satisfied that you arrive, you know, not having left anything out that should have been included, you know, or including things that should have been left out. Boys, so grateful for the conversation with you guys. As we put a ribbon on this thing, we just want to thank you for being here. This is episode 31. Just wild what we've it's so crazy how fast that came.
Yeah.
Just over the past several months, getting to get this thing stood up and started and just having you here along for the conversation. Uh, you know, I mentioned it this morning and like a number of people in our class were like actively responded, like they listened to the show. So I'm just super grateful and thankful for you all being here. Again, we do this every Friday at noon Pacific on Spotify and Rumble. There's going to be more platforms coming soon, but like the channel, you know, set notifications, subscribe, share these out, download the episodes if you want. You know, if you're just catching up, go binge them. There's some really great stuff. You know, even though the show's new, it's been really awesome. These conversations have been, you know, really helping to shape my perspective on things and grow me as a person. So just grateful and blessed to have you along for the journey. And until next week, this has been Sweeter After Difficulty. Thanks so much, Jordan, Chris. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you guys.